maybe you're not getting that extra 200 you could be getting from this unit being rented at market rents, but we're getting like 50 to 75K of equity. All right, so I just want to go over a previous topic we discussed, which was finding killer real estate deals in Ontario, and this is specifically for the Hamilton area that I work out of. I just want to kind of show you visually like the stuff I look for, and I'm just going to show you my system, but a lot of this stuff, it applies even if you're just looking on realtor.ca, whatever it is, because you can see pretty much or look for similar details, and you're going to see a lot of the same data, but for me, this is just how I access the MLS as an agent from the Hamilton board. So I wanted to show you some different types of variety of deals, and when we're looking at deals to invest in or just to buy, kind of what we look for exactly and what stands out. So a lot of the stuff I covered in that previous video talked about looking for like these specific things with listings, like if they've been sitting for a while, if they're stale, regarding the pictures, the condition of the property, etc. And a lot of it is relative to the market too. So just as like a preface, the market right now is super slow. And it's getting slower because we're entering the winter season and we're at like record high listings over the last 10 years. So because of that, there's a lot of opportunities where properties are sitting, and not just from the perspective of like, okay, well, the market's coming down. You might say obviously properties are cheaper. It's more so like even if a property is listed low, or if there's an opportunity to get it at today's market price, which is lower than maybe even 2021, we can get it even below that, maybe like 20, 30, 40 grand. And I'll kind of show you where that actually applies. This is a legal duplex. It's been listed for about 5 months. It got relisted 2 months ago. So these guys started at $899. It wasn't selling, and then they kept coming down, and then 2 months ago they listed at $799. Now the thing is, a couple of months ago there were similar comparables selling between $800 to $850, but they listed at $899. So not really a good idea, and maybe they were more optimistic because the market was at a high point at that time compared to the previous like 18 months. That specific time, like this past spring to the beginning of summer, it was pretty heated. So there was a possibility for them to get it, but they couldn't. There were comparables that were a little bigger than this one that sold at like $875. So they were probably hoping for like $850-ish, but I guess didn't get any good offers. So then now that we're in November and the market's slowed down because rates picked up, winter's coming, things are slowing down, it's just been sitting. So this is an opportunity right away. It tells you that there's some room to negotiate here, right? Because I'm sure if this is still up for that long, they do want to sell. There is motivation there. It's been there for 60 days. Now, how low they're willing to go, we have to extract that from the agent, obviously, right, through conversation and see what they're going for. I'm sure they prefer better offers and they'll reduce their price for that. So in the other video, I was talking about this, like if you can kind of get into a conversation with these people and figure out what's going on, like, do they need to sell? They've been listed for so long, and they're kind of just showing you their hand. Like, I mean, in that case, it's easier to be more direct than try to like ask for too much. When people are playing hard to get, it's better to like throw a lot of conditions and do that kind of stuff, and try to offer a really low price and try to negotiate up. But in some situations, it might just be worth it to just tell them straight up, hey, this is what I'm willing to pay. So I ran the numbers on this deal. It actually is a pretty good deal at $750 because it's rented out at market rents. So a deal like this, it's a legal duplex. It's already tenanted, and because it's tenanted, you have to look at the rents, and because it was recently renovated, so it was taken from a single family home and converted into a duplex just this year. You can see some newer renovations. These rents on here are $2,300 for the upper unit and $1,900 for the lower unit. So from the numbers I ran, with including property taxes, everything, it would break even or do a little bit better if you could get it at $750, and that's a pretty good price even looking at some comparables, because properties in not as good of an area, like this is on the Hamilton Mountain, for example, the properties in not as good of an area sell for a little bit less than that, and they're not as nicely renovated. So this is an opportunity if you can get it at the right price, but this is some of the stuff I'm talking about. It's a stale listing, right? I have another opportunity here, which is a townhouse, and this one just came up today, Now it's fresh, so obviously like when a listing's new and people just enter the market, if you come on too heavy and strong right away, the first instinct of the seller and their agent should be, hey, well, we just came on today. If this person's calling us and they're so aggressive and they want this so bad, even if you're offering a low offer, they're going to be like, we'd rather wait, because there's probably other people who think this is a great deal too. So in scenarios like this, depending on what your goal is, like this is, it needs a lot of work. Honestly, this could be a flip. I know based on comparables for this, right? If you look around the area, at comparables that are maybe somewhat bigger, somewhat nicer, depending on how you want to look at it, and other listings, like this is one that's similar, sold at 415. It's not listed at like an amazing price, but it's pretty good, and they listed it at like a fair price that they're expecting, you know what I mean? Like that they should expect. So in a scenario like this, like depending on the conversation you have with someone, like you could just go for it because they're giving you a pretty reasonable price for something like this. And this has an after repair value, if you fix this up, of like low 500s, right? So depending on who you are, this might not be great for like a flipper, but if you're someone that's looking for your own house, like a first time home buyer, and you need something affordable in Hamilton, in a good area, Hamilton Mountain, for under 450K, this thing is a great deal for you, because these things weren't built like 100 years ago. This is 1976. It has municipal services, furnace, AC, so not a bad property, and it's in a decent area. Something like this, if you could pick up at this price and do some work, or get some work done, it'll probably cost you, like, honestly, if it's your own personal home and you're getting the work done, it's just cosmetic, it'll be between 30 to 40K just for the upper areas, depending on how crazy you want to go. But it's better than paying for a turnkey property that's like 520,000, right? Because that's what they're selling at once they're like fully renovated, redone, and top down and resold. So you can save some money like that, but we couldn't do stuff like this before, right? That's I guess the point of this video and what I'm trying to say. Like, we couldn't apply pressure. You couldn't find deals where people are listing low, they're being reasonable, they're giving you opportunity. Like a property like this, you can actually put inspection, financing condition, it just came up, you can give them a decent offer, and if you do find stuff that's concerning and it's a bit of a headache, you can actually knock prices down. And as long as your offer is fair, people are way more willing to take it, especially going into these next couple of months, right? So there's deals like these that, like, this is a variation. Like, one is stale listing, one is like a newer one that's fairly priced. There's stuff like this, and then there's other stuff you can look at as well, right? Like, so for me, like personally, being an agent, like I have access to certain things which you guys might not have access to, but you can actually like probably apply similar tactics, right? So when, like, I have filters set up, which are basically like specific to certain types of properties and certain keywords. So when you want like realtor.ca, you can do that too. You can write like handyman or renovations, and it'll show you properties where the description says that, right? So this one, like it references anything that mentions like duplex, this filter, right? So it shows me everything that's listed that has the word duplex in it, or like 2-unit, whatever you want to call it. And because of that, sometimes I'm able to find deals that aren't listed even under the duplex category. And I was able to find some pretty crazy deals by doing that alone, but it's something you have to stay on top of. It's not like just like a one and done type of thing. Like, you're going to need to see listings. Like right now, I'm seeing duplexes come up every week. Most of them aren't amazing deals, but then the one I just showed you is decent. I had a couple other ones like that I looked at. I've sent out some of these deals to clients too, right? I'll show you another one like that's been listed for a while. Okay, so this deal was up for a long time. So something like this is what I'm talking about. Like, I'll show you kind of what went down, and this is a great deal. It's not in an amazing area. It's in a decent part of Hamilton, Crown Point. It's away from the middle of downtown, like Lansdale area, which is probably the worst, but not too far from the Red Hill on the highway, and it's a pretty solid deal. So this one was sitting for like 40 plus days, and it was priced well. The only issue is there's a tenant in this property, right? Now, the thing is like, when something like that happens, you have to look at like what's going on. So originally it was listed at $649. It was decreased. They did a good job with the listing where they priced it well, and they were pretty quickly, they were ready to reduce the price based on, I guess, the feedback they were getting. And it sold at 580, no conditions. Someone bought it, obviously, firm. But yeah, it sold at 585. So right now we're seeing deals like this where there's actually stuff that's under like 600,000 legal duplex. I saw a triplex that was in really rough shape, but it was under 500,000. So there's stuff like that in Hamilton, which is like unheard of. If you go anywhere in the GTA, right, you're not going to see stuff like this. The problem is like sometimes you'll see these deals and you're like, it's too good to be true. And mind you, there is always like a hurdle, like there is a compromise. Any deal that's like perfect, like those guys, previous duplex I showed you, they're listed at $899 because they had a turnkey duplex with market rents. That's the trade-off. You're going to pay a little higher, everything's done. But with this one, they have a tenant upstairs that is paying like $700 below market rent. But even with him paying below market rent, there's still one vacant unit that would be rented out at market rents. So it was actually breaking even at 6% interest rates, meaning if the upper tenant left or if you negotiated rents with them, even if you raise it by $100, it'd be cash flowing right away. And the actual rents for that unit that was rented out is about, like I said, $700 more. So that means that 6% interest rates, this is a duplex that could cash flow 700 and you could buy it at 580, right? So these deals were like unheard of. We didn't have the opportunity to negotiate, try to like apply conditions. Most importantly, I would say like the thing to know here, and I mentioned this in the other video, is like you gotta know your area and your numbers. Like I'm focused on Hamilton, so if I show you just like the duplex listings alone, right, in Hamilton, this is how big Hamilton. This is all Hamilton, right? Sorry. If I show you all the duplex listings, that's how many there are, and you have to know the individual like trends in each area, right? So I know exactly what things sell for in the mountain. I know what a reasonable price is down here, and over here there's so many different areas, like the north end versus the east end versus the west end versus like right center middle. There's actually pretty big price differences here. So if you don't know this stuff, none of the other stuff applies. Like this is the most important thing if you can take away from the video is you need to know your area very well, because if you understand the price trends, that's how you'll know you have a good deal. Like I know that duplexes here, even at today's rates, a turnkey one could sell over 800. It's not unreasonable. But because of that, like recently I found a client, a very similar deal that needed maybe like 20K of work for 715,000 because it was being ignored by people. And there was a tenant paying $200 under market rent. But that trade-off of me knowing that there's like about 50 to 75K worth of equity built into the deal, it's worth for my client, once I explain that to them, that, you know, maybe you're not getting that extra 200 you could be getting from this unit being rented at market rents, but we're getting like 50 to 75K of equity. And that's not much of, I would say, like a deficit. Like if it's like a $200 difference between what the existing tenant's paying and the current tenant, so you'll probably make up for that, but you'll never be able to find that type of equity in most deals, right? Like to find like a deal like that where you're getting 50 to 75K, it's like one out of, I don't even know how much, like one out of 1,000, one out of a couple hundred deals that come up. So when you know your areas and you know the numbers and you understand the trends, then you're really able to like apply all the other strategies. You know, okay, like this is what these things are going for. Maybe I can take this approach to it. So that's what you got to look out for, basically, right? A lot of it just has to do with understanding your numbers in your area and then applying these strategies, which honestly, if you're looking for a deal like between now and the coming spring where things could change, maybe not, like it's a great opportunity because things are going to be really slow this month, next month, January, and we're going to see a lot of deals pop up, a lot of listings, so you can apply all these strategies to them. So yeah, I mean, try to take advantage of this stuff, and then, you know, if you want someone to do all the heavy lifting for you, especially in the Hamilton area, reach out to me. Like, as you can see, I put in a lot of effort into this stuff. Like, you might have other things to do. This is what I do every day, right? Like, pretty much we have the filter set up. I study the numbers. I look at the market trends, what things are selling for. Like, you know, you can see I have filter set up for the last 14 days, what things are selling for, and it refreshes. So this is like what it is for me. But if that's not something, like, you know, it's not worth your time, maybe you're busy during the day, but you want access to these deals, I usually send out a lot of deals on a weekly basis. So I'll link my website below, and you can just fill out the form there on the contact us section, and I'll add you to my list, and you'll get deals. And I send out a lot of like these types of videos there where they're useful. It doesn't cost you anything, but it's a lot of value. And if you're looking for a deal, you might find something there as well. So yeah, definitely do that. And let me know what you guys think about the video. If you find value from it, I'll try to do more like these.